what to do with your $1,200 CARE Act stimulus check.
Small business is strong and our big business is strong, and that's keeping our
All right, people, we're back to printing money. So $6 trillion divided by 330 million Americans, that comes out to about $18,000 per person. If you're not $18,000 richer after all of this, don't worry, because someone else is. I'm really glad to hear that Delta isn't going to nullify my Sky Miles. With $500 billion going to corporations, I'm really beginning to wonder where the line between capitalism and state-run industry is. Dave Ramsey harps on his consumers so much about having a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. Blah, blah, blah. 3 to 6 months here, 6 months here, 8 months there, $1,000 here. That's all he tells us. You gotta have an emergency fund. That's your first baby step. That's your third baby step. On and on and on. But no one is there to tell the corporations to do the same thing, because the government is always going to bail them out. According to a study of small to medium-sized businesses conducted by JP Morgan Stanley, these businesses have on average 27 days of cash reserves on hand. So if they lost their revenue stream and they still had to pay expenses, rent, payroll, etc., they would last for 27 days. That's less than a month of emergency fund. Dave Ramsey would be horrified. Anyway, let's get back to why you're here, why you're watching this video in the first place. Lawmakers have decided to test the universal basic income waters by including a $1,200 stimulus check for every American in the Virus Response and Affordable Care Act, which is abbreviated CRACA, and somehow it abbreviated to CARES Act, CARES. I don't know how they got that from CRACA. So for most people, it's going to be $1,200. For families, it's going to be more like $3,000, depending on the size of your family. If you're a higher income earner, you're likely to get significantly less, and eventually you'll get nothing, depending on once you get up into the higher income earners. In this video, I'm going to explain to you exactly what you need to do with your stimulus money. Before we get started, I'd really like to thank Andrew Yang for putting the Universal Basic Income concept, UBI for short, on the radar for so many people. I really think if he hadn't participated in the Democratic primary, that we wouldn't be talking about a UBI right now, especially under a Republican-controlled Senate and White House. Unprecedented. The first thing you need to do with your stimulus check is make sure you have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. Fully funded. This is a really great opportunity to do that. Now, I know this sounds very Dave Ramsey-esque, and I've had some criticisms of the Total Money Makeover program. But right now, for the time being, I'm going to have to agree with him and say it's more important to have an emergency fund. It's more important to have some liquidity right now than it is to pay down debt. Because times have changed. We live in a different world now. Maxing out your emergency fund is important right now because you never know if you're going to lose your job, and it's really important to have some liquidity right now. You can always pay off debt later. Debt paid off right now can't be reliquidated into cash. It's always great to have that optionality where you can pay off that debt with that cash, but you're going to wait and see what happens before you make that decision. Because once you pay off that debt, you're locked in. You've paid off that debt. You can't pull money out of there. This is especially true if it's a student loan. Credit cards you can kind of reliquidate, but I would hate to see you pay off debt and then go back into debt. For an emergency fund, if you don't even have one right now, I would suggest using the Ally savings account. They offer a really good interest rate, 1.5%. In fact, I recently just moved all my long-term savings from Wealthfront to Ally because Wealthfront dropped their interest rate on their cash account from somewhere it was around 1.5%. They just dropped it down to 0.26%. So I just got my money out of there. The next thing you need to do is if you have money left over after funding your emergency fund, you need to pay off high interest debt. This is a great opportunity to pay off that high interest debt that's been hanging around for a few months or a few years. Credit cards typically have 20% interest rates. So if you pay it off now with that extra stimulus money, you basically get a 20% return on your investment. Now, I really wouldn't recommend paying off student loans right now, just because the interest rates are 2 to 3% typically, sometimes 4%. Also, everyone's getting a student loan payment and interest holiday for at least the next 2 months. So throwing money at your student loans is kind of a wasted opportunity. Just resume paying the loans once all this is over. Also, we don't know what's happening with student loans relative to this crisis. There's been some speak that there might be some forgiveness. They might forgive a certain amount of everybody's student loans. So I would just hold tight and get a more definitive answer of what's actually going to happen with your student loans. The third thing I want you to do after making sure your emergency fund is fully loaded and your high interest debts are paid off. The third thing I want you to do is invest. Public is a really great investing app that I've been using for a few months. Go watch my previous video about Public. I cover all the basic features of it. It's really cool. They have, you can buy stocks and slices, which is basically just fractional shares. It's commission free. You can do limit and stop orders just like any other brokerage account. In my opinion, it's a lot better than Robinhood. So go download the Public app. There's a link in the description where you can get a free stock slice worth up to $50 just for signing up. But I also get a small stock slice as well. So, I have a little skin in the game. Just letting you know. Also, Public has this really cool social component that I really like. Basically, you can follow people on Public, kind of like, just following people on Twitter. And you can see what their investments are. Not the actual dollar amount, but like what they're holding. And you can see what their positions are on. So go add me on Public. Follow me at IS O'Connor. And you can stalk me and see what stocks I have at any given time. Also, make sure you know what you're doing. Don't just buy random stocks because everything's on sale. Do your research and make your own investment decisions. If you want a more hands-off approach, I would suggest adding the remaining stimulus money into a Roth IRA. If you don't have a Roth IRA, I would suggest opening a Wealthfront account and setting up a Roth IRA with them. They have a really cool platform. It's a robo-advisor. Fees are really low, like the lowest fees in the industry. I have a referral link for Wealthfront down in the description. If you use my link, you get the first $5,000 you invest managed for free. I also get $5,000 managed for free if you use my link too, so I would really appreciate it. I'll give you a shout out. Another thing to consider is if your company offers a 401k match. This would be a great opportunity to begin increasing your contribution to your 401k to fully capture all the match that they're offering you. And since we're talking about 401ks right now, this would be a great time to make sure that your money in your 401k is actually in the market, not just sitting in a money market account on the sidelines. I know so many people that set up 401ks and they have thousands of dollars in there, but their money's just sitting in a money market account, not doing anything. Because money market accounts make about like 1 to 2% interest every year. So it's just you're not generating anything. So if it is in a money market account on the sidelines, then man, you just dodged a major bullet. This is a great time for you to get in the market with a low-cost, broad-based ETF or mutual fund. Something like this or this. Both of these ETFs have 0.03% expense ratios. Literally meaning if you have $1,000 in one of these ETFs, your annual fee is going to be 30 cents. So if you have old 401ks that you've never logged into or just completely forgot the password or anything, now is a great time to dig those up and bring them to life. Because you ain't going to retire on an account generating 1% interest.
Thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. I hope you found it useful and insightful in some way. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. If you have any thoughts about it, leave a quick little comment down below. I'd love to hear it. I respond to every comment. Love to get a conversation started with you. Until next time, this is Ian from Money Talks.